All right, we're back to finish up the rough map of Asia. Okay, so I got Bangladesh, Bhutan, Nepal. Now this little arm of India, little eastern arm of India, diagonals back towards Bangladesh and hits it. Doesn't touch the ocean, it just hits Bangladesh there. Okay, south of India, south of the tip of India, there's an island, fairly sizable one, Sri Lanka. And then there's some little bitty islands to the southwest of that, which are the Maldives. And then we're going to do Southeast Asia. So, Myanmar, which the CC book refers to as Burma, but I don't think that name is really used anymore. Maybe I'm wrong. It's also called Myanmar in any case. Is kind of a diamond, a taller than wide diamond, which comes over here, but at the bottom of the diamond, it doesn't quite close. Instead, there's a little bit more, there's a little peninsula that comes down this way, which will then get taken over by Thailand, but we'll get to that. So there is Myanmar. Now, at the edge, the east end of the diamond, sliding under the diamond here, and then also sticking up above it, there's a little hatchet-shaped jobby. There's the head of the hatchet, chopping down southwestward, and there's the handle of the hatchet, which is Laos. And then under the handle, kind of mirroring the head, about the same size and shape, is Cambodia. Now mirroring the hatchet of Laos, facing the other way, a little bit bigger, is Vietnam. And then it has a coast that curls around down here and ends kind of right south of Cambodia. So Cambodia has some coast here, and some of it is wrapped around by Vietnam. Now from Cambodia, there's a little bay that comes in and then down, and this is Thailand. And Thailand, coast comes down, and then it takes over this very skinny peninsula that Myanmar started. And then Thailand ends, and the rest of the peninsula is taken over by part of Malaysia. The peninsula gets a little wider here. And then the very tip of the peninsula is actually Singapore, a small but heavily populated and rich little country. So this is part of Malaysia, this piece of the peninsula. And then there's a big triangular-ish island. I believe the island is Java, but politically, this part of it is also Malaysia. This part of it is Indonesia. And there's a little blip of it here that is Brunei. And then the rest of Indonesia, there's a, we recording? Yeah. There's a big island here on the outside, the west side and south of the peninsula. That is Sumatra, I believe, but it's part of Indonesia. And then there's a long island down here, which I think is Bali, but it's part of Indonesia. And then there's an island, Sulawesi, which looks like a starfish being blown around in the wind to me, also part of Indonesia. And there's some smaller islands down here, which are part of Indonesia. And finally, there's one that is Indonesia on the west half and Timor-Leste on the east half, also called East Timor. But the official name is Timor-Leste. And then there's also an island here, which is half Indonesia, which is in your Asia section, and half Papua New Guinea, which is in your Oceania section. So we'll get to that later. Okay. Now, China is a pot-bellied dragon, and the pot-belly comes up from Vietnam here. We're getting about to this dot or a little bit past it. Curving in again And there's this bay, which is about level with the tail of China, maybe a little higher, I don't know. Kind of a squarish bay. And then it's more complicated than that, but we'll keep it simple. And then the dragon has a squarish head that's on a diagonal here. So diagonally down, diagonally up, diagonally up. Here is a dragon ear, kind of a squarish ear, and there's the neck. And then the dragon's back comes up. Then there's this big scoop kind of to there. Now Kazakhstan comes down to this point, and Mongolia doesn't quite touch Kazakhstan, but comes up again from this point, and is this sort of ovalish thing, although actually it has a little shark fin there, that comes over and meets the dragon ear. So there's Kazakhstan, there's Mongolia, here's China. And from the dragon's face, there's a landmass, a peninsula. It doesn't quite come that far up, I'm sorry. There's a peninsula. Top part of it is North Korea. And then there's this little flipper that comes down that is South Korea. And Russia wraps around to just touch North Korea here. So here's some more Russia. Russia goes on up to the Arctic. There's a peninsula that comes down here. Is it the Kamchatka Peninsula, I believe? It's pretty much off my map, but okay. Now, off Korea, starting just a little south of Korea, and curving around to the north. This is terrible. I'm not doing the islands right at all, but there's some islands which are Japan. A smaller one in the south, the main island, Honshu, I think, and Hokkaido is a more squarish island up here, but it's got some appendages. We're not going to do that right now. This is all just Japan. Then there's some Russian islands up here. Okay, Japan. Off the coast of China, kind of off the pot belly here, is an island, which is Taiwan. And then about parallel, same latitude as Vietnam, maybe a little south of that, I think, is the Philippines, which is a whole bunch of islands, bigger one on the north, some little ones. There's the Philippines. What am I missing? Let me stop and check if I've got everything. I think I got everything. As soon as I stop recording, I'll realize that I forgot some little country or other. I hope not. But there is a rough blob map of Asia. Again, a lot of the countries are not super well proportioned, maybe not shaped exactly right, but they're all in the right place relative to each other. Okay,